behaviors of a kind that would lead to obsession of any given thing. An example is obsession of money that can lead to greed. How this will work for me is that I'll be so self-absorbed in the one task that I love to do, e.g., science, and I will only engage in one material at a time. If it's an activity that involves me socializing, I'll try so hard that I'll get tired quickly and be overwhelmed. Having some obsessions to what I have got or enjoy doing is not a bad thing at all. How I see it is that, while having an obsession of hearsay science and doing something that requires my full attention and concentration, I can and will perform better, and the task that I'm doing will then be done more efficiently and properly with less mistakes in it. Again, when it comes down to me socializing and my social energy tank running is low, I can then be by myself and be able to reflect, rewind, and then be able to get back to you with a fresh and clear mind. Despite that, it takes time for me to do this, and that people may not have the patience. Very often, my moods or feelings, like a roller coaster or even like a tsunami, will change and shift no matter what it is at that moment of time. Yet that's how depression will tend to affect people, as they'll have their good and bad times no matter what day it'll be. However, it's up to us to how we want to tackle our day and what we want to say or do to our depression to get us motivated again or not. This will again depend on how I feel during the day and what is thrown at me. However, the overall thought pattern will change in a quick flash or in an instant, or even the conversation. Feeling of isolation or alienation. This, however, when depressed, can work really well with people who suffer from AS, as this works similarly to depression. When I was younger, I used to be a happy, carefree, bubbly child that was always full of energy and life. Despite that, I knew something was wrong, as I saw most of the little kids at that time having fun, laughing, smiling, letting their hair down and more. I did still at that stage of my life felt it hard to connect with people and engage them with everyday activities. Most Aspie kids at my age then may have felt a sense of that they don't belong in that group, or even just finding a place where they felt safe, happy, and secure in. Those feelings caused alienation and isolation. Depression does, however, causes an interruption or disruption in our lives to the point where alienation and isolation will come into our world and will rob us to some degree. Sometimes with some people that suffer from depression, they feel that they're not in control of their life and world anymore, as they're losing everything within their reach and grasp. Sometimes, when this happens with people that have AS, they feel they have to let go, not understanding the meaning of life anymore and not always having the answers that they always wanted or sought for. Feelings of alienation and isolation causes much pain and confusion for the people, which will make them feel strange and not fitting into what people want them to be. With all these feelings that we will feel through the depression and having AS, we'll end up having the feeling of detachment. To help us get through this, we'll be having some clinical testing and fundamental research. I believe wholeheartedly that there are still people that haven't been clinically diagnosed or had been diagnosed with AS that are on the spectrum somewhere, yet they don't realize that they got it. It's amazing how many people are now on the spectrum, as it's a growing phenomenon. Some awareness, knowledge, and understanding can go a long way, however, as this is important for each and every one of us. We need to know the right symptoms for the diagnosis, although some will not show until later in life. We need to know the type of triggers that are causing these symptoms. I believe that the earlier the diagnoses, the better for each and every one of us. We need to know the right symptoms for the diagnosis, although some will not show until later in life. We need to know the type of triggers that are causing these symptoms. I believe that the earlier the diagnoses, the better for each and every one of us. The earlier the diagnoses, the earlier the treatment we can give or receive. Letter to my depression. Dear depression, I will not let you control my life. Hello. I remember the very first time when you came into my life, which from the very beginning. Growing up as a sweet, young, innocent, bubbly girl that was full of energy and spirit. A sweet young and innocent girl growing up to not knowing what is going to happen, and you came in secretly into my life without any reason or my permission to the changes that were about to happen. I was growing up as a sweet, young, and innocent girl, in a world full of unfamiliarities as well as uncertainties with broken dreams and promises. However, the first time we met you were cleverly hidden and disguised under me as a mask full of different emotions which I would show to the world. While you were cleverly hidden, you didn't even surface, and I was at that time, ignoring the signs and symptoms of what you will bring, despite being at a tender young age of 8. I was always a happy, young-spirited, free-willed child that was bubbly in character and putting on the brave face, regardless of what it would be or could be, as I had so much energy to burn. The second time we met, depression, was when I was in my pre-teens, trying to fit in and blend in with the crowd that I was associating and hanging with. I was then, however, trying to act like somebody who I was not when a few of these sweet nothings and some basic name calling started to creep into my mind and creating so much doubt, fear, insecurities, and uncertainties to who and what I am and was at that young age. I even felt my mind and body weren't mine and that they belonged to someone else. But I now know and believed that this disease is incurable, but is manageable to a degree. After having you in my life, it felt like I was in a deep and dark hole with no light. I fought myself and cried to myself at night, with tears streaming down my cheeks and face staining my pillow due to the torture of your sweet nothings and lies that you were feeding me. I'll say this to you, that depression, you were a childhood friend to me, despite giving me so much hassles, drama, heartaches, heartbreaks and other mixed feelings just to basically gives you full control of my life. It got me wondering when it was ever going to stop. In the end, I made it my choice to have you in my life and to control me. At midnight, a small silent voice inside of me, as well as a sharp tongue that was like a double-edged sword, started penetrating deeper into my thoughts. It was you that was feeding me again with the sweet nothings, lies and more. You robbed me of everything that I had, and once knew and pretended you had the answers for everything to what I was going through, as I was battling and fighting this battle and struggle on my own. I felt while I was in my pre-teens, that I was ready to give up and give in to your wishes and commands, depression. I questioned myself, do I dare give in and give up? While you were giving me false hope and false messages of whatever it was, at that given moment of time I realized it wasn't me. I began to feel very sick and weak, and everything around me that started to fall out, I couldn't grasp any more as it was out of sight and reach. The reality of me losing this battle that was never so strong. While in my darkest moment, I was on a suicidal frenzy with you, just the thought of me wanting out and pull the plug as well as quitting my fight to you. Yes, I did try to attempt to end my life during depression, however, and luckily, I had my loving and devoted parents by me for support. Yes, despite making their life hell, yet they still stood by me, and to this day, they still are standing tall and strong by me, no matter what I am going through or facing at that moment of time. All the negative thoughts and sweet nothings that you poisoned me with over the years, fell back into my mind again as I kept crying myself to sleep at night, as so many countless nights I couldn't sleep through the tears of emotions of mine. I was trying to cope with the never-ending battle and cycle of mine with loneliness and no friends again. You were my friend, as you then became the authority and a main source of my life, depression. I was still stuck in negative thoughts that were growing so fast that then ended up clouding my judgment and perception of life, and living my life how I wanted to live it. Again, you keep coming into my life unexpectedly, time and time again with sweet nothings, lies and false hopes, saying, no one is going to love you, you are nothing, you are worthless and more. Meanwhile, I was battling with these thoughts day in and day out, yet now I believe that there is a brighter future and that there is hope and light at the end of the darkest tunnel of mine, as well as thinking that there will be someone out there for me that will love me for me despite what I may be facing or struggling with. Depression, what you have put me through, a house full of lies, feeding my mind, soul, and spirit. I felt so stupid enough to give you the time of day as well as giving to you what you wanted from me in my weakest times and moments, as well as then becoming a slave to you. This illness can do everything it wants at any moment of time or day just by giving up my power to you, and more importantly, the authority to just give you what you wanted, just to keep you satisfied. The other set of emotions I was feeling at this moment of time will not cease or be quiet and calm as you overtook me in my life, yet I will admit depression that you did create so many fears in my life. Depression, you know that you have a story of you to share and tell in this day and age. I shall now stand up against you. I believe that I am someone who has a vision, dreams, and goals in my life which I believe I can achieve. Depression, despite being in my life, you can't and will not have me by having the power and authority in me. I do not dwell on my past, regardless of you being there and what I've been through and struggled with. I am worthy of love, I am of being be cared for, I am worthy to be a princess. I am now worthy to let go of anything that is not a part of me which is holding me down and out of my life. I am now worthy to let go of anything that you were clouding me, the doubts, lies and uncertainties as I take charge of my life. I am now starting and will begin now to forgive myself as well as giving myself a chance to heal from whatever had been in the way of my healing, and to allow myself to be a better person as well as being stronger in the mind, spirit, and soul. I am now forgiving myself and allowing myself to be stronger and better. I have had so many guys that have come in and out of my life just because you were feeding me so much lies and insecurities, as well as putting harm in the way, and I come against you right now. You, however, caused havoc in my life when the guys did try to come into my life, and you told me to accept that it was true love, despite some of the guys I had been with in the past. Today, I am letting go of these ones that caused me so much grief and harm, and forgiving them, for what they did to me was wrong and unacceptable. I don't wish for anything else to be stolen in my life like peace, joy, and self-worth and many more. I am starting today to rebuild everything that was lost and stolen from me. As you are in my life, I am taking charge of my life right now, to be a better person and to love myself. Today, depression, I am letting you and all the negative thoughts, perception, and judgment that were clouding over me to go. I will not give up, and I shall and will not let this silence me. I do not know where my life is taking me to, yet I will take a step of faith into the unknown and to trust and believe in myself, as well as starting to love myself again. Yours sincerely, a victor and a winner. We have the power and choice to overcome depression. We all have our good days and bad days. Some can be bright, and some can be dull and dark. Sometimes, we feel that we can't seem to get the answers that we are looking for, or even can't get up in the mornings, just to face and seize the day to the point that we feel so happy and ready for our day. We feel so confident to the point that we will say we can do this and conquer our day, no matter what is going to be thrown at us. Also, that we are conquerors and winners, and will not let depression come in to steal or rob us of our day or what is lying ahead of us. There will be some other times we may just want to stay in bed. Sometimes, we need to realize that, despite what we are going through, everyone has struggles, and that some are silently struggling with what they are facing. Everyone is different in how they face their battles and go about their everyday activities. We all know that sometimes, we may have days that won't go accordingly to plan or just fall into a right pile of mud and that we are stuck in that mud for a time. Some days, we feel so defeated to the point that we just want to give up and throw in the towel. No matter how big or small the struggle that we are facing is, we tend to let it take over us spiritually, mentally, and physically and may not know how to get out of it. Sometimes, when we get up in the mornings, we don't wish to be up and we will tend to question ourselves just like I do. Why did I wake up in the first place? What is the main reason or goal for me today as I am awake? I am trying to get rid of all the negativities that clouds over my judgment and perception of what and how I feel about myself, as I believe that we all can recycle our negatives and turn them around to positives and not to be too hard on ourselves. We need to remember that there may be days that we will not get the answers that we are seeking or reaching out for, and that sometimes, there are hidden messages. Sometimes, some messages are so obvious and right there slap bang in front of our faces. We can reflect and rewind to the mess and confront the mess that had been made, so that we tackle it head on. We have the power to say no and power to make our own decisions.